So the next question I wanted to ask you, Sri Narasimha Rao, is the whole idea of Prashna. See, I live in Chennai, where we have Kapali Koval, a temple dedicated to Lord Kapali, and oftentimes we hear that there is a Prashna done where the presiding deity, which is Lord Kapali, there will answer some questions about the temple, about the vidhi of the puja, about the worshippers that come. So tell us about Prashna. What is Prashna in Jyotisham, and what does it answer and what does it take?
So there are different aspects of Jyotisha Shastra. Within Jyotisha Shastra, there are multiple groups, but within the predictive astrology, there are two parts. One part is natal horoscopy, Janma, based on the Janma chakra, based on the time somebody was born. You look at the planetary position at that time, and that gives you insight into what kind of karmas are being carried by that person, and what is the momentum those karmas will take with respect to time as time moves on. So that is basically natal horoscopy. And then we have what is known as horary horoscopy, horary charts, which is basically Prashna. Prashna literally means a question. You have a question in your mind that is bothering you, and you want to find an answer to that question. And it doesn't have to be just about how things are happening at a temple. It can be about something that's happening in the world, or something that's happening to a particular person. Somebody's birth chart may not be known. They may want to know a particular thing about their life. They may be thinking about something important, and will it happen or not, or how it will happen. They may want some insight. So when you don't have access to the natal horoscopy, because natal horoscopy is a very evolved science, and that is what Parasara actually focused on. Parasara did not teach Prasna. As a matter of fact, the Prasna Shastra was not taught by Maharshis. It is basically based on books that were written in the last 2 millennia by other people, not rishis. So rishis focused really on the Janma chakra, and that is basically very scientific. There are a lot of principles there, very well established and structured principles. But when it comes to Prasna, when you don't have access to those, you resort to a Prasna. And the idea behind Prashna is when I'm thinking about something, when I want to solve a problem, that effort to solve a problem has taken birth at that time. So it's like an entity, just like a human being. You can make a horoscope for collective groups of people, like a company being formed or a question being formed in your mind to be solved. So everything has a life of its own. Everything has some corresponding karmas that it is carrying with it, and the momentum that those karmas will take with time. So Prasasastra is basically essentially trying to decipher the influence of planets on your efforts to solve a particular problem. And if you see what the planets are telling you at that time, that gives insight into uh, what is the resolution to the issue that you are trying to solve. So there are two things there. You either use planets at the time you make the prasna, you make a chart just like Janma Chakra, a natal chart, but for the time when you had the question arise in your mind. So you make a chart for that. That is one approach. Another approach is you don't use a chart per se, but you look at your surroundings and you take various omens and you map them to planets, charts, signs in the zodiac, etc. And you basically read from that. Bottom line is, if you are willing to understand the world around you, nature is always sending you signs. So the basic principle behind Prashna is there are signs being sent to you by nature in terms of things around you, happenings around you, as well as the planetary position at the time when you actually thought of solving a particular problem. So you can combine those to have some insight. I want to say one thing here. Earlier I said that Prashna is typically used when you don't have recourse to Janma Chakra, but actually, even when you have a Janma Chakra, even when you have accurate horoscope of a person, apart from the Janma Chakra, see how the dashas are, how the planets are transiting at this time, what are the karmas that are being invoked at this time, because different karmas will give their result at different times. So, what are the previous karmas that are likely to fructify at this point of time? So, that you can see from the natal horoscopy. But the problem is, you also have to take into account what the person has done since birth. The horoscope only tells you the karmas as captured at the time of birth, and the karmas that a person is doing are not static. Person is continuously doing karmas since birth. So after the birth, he may have done terrible karmas or really good karmas, and they will add to this karma pipeline, the pipeline of karmas, and they may basically modify, alter the way the karmas will fructify at this given point of time. So Prashna will give you insight into that.
Okay, so the question is, will when you say these karmas that you do can alter, so it doesn't necessarily mean that it'll all become sanchita to be fructified some other lifetime.
There are, like you said, there are three kinds of karmas: prarabdha karma, sanchita karma, and the agami karma. Prarabdha karma is literally, prarabdha means that has been begun basically. It comes from the root prarabh, means to begin, and it is the gerund form of that. So it means already begun. So that means the karma has already started fructifying. The arrow has left the bow of Rudra. So the karma has to give result in this life. So prarabdha karmas must give their result in this life. And sanchita karmas are the other accumulated karmas which may or may not give their result in this life. But prarabdha karma has to be experienced in this life. But the tricky thing is, exactly at what time it will be experienced, it's not really determined. Horoscope is not deterministic, your destiny is not deterministic. So in this life you are destined to experience particular kind of result, and it is optional to experience some other result. But imagine that there is a pipeline having a lot of balls in it. Okay, and these karmas are like the balls in the pipeline, the tube, and you basically, they are all coming at a speed. So tube is, let's say, inclined down, they are all coming, and if you throw another ball into the pipe, it may, if it is sufficiently large, it may basically push everything out and come out first, basically, if it has enough force. So you are, in other words, every action that you are engaging right now, whether small or big, is a new ball you are throwing into the tube. And constantly these balls are being rearranged by the by God. And the order in which they come out can basically be modified a little bit. So it's not like you get rid of a karma or completely move it from prarabdha to sanchita, but you can alter the sequence in which things happen. Sometimes you can also alter the degree, the magnitude, because karma only says he needs to experience this kind of result, but the exact degree to which it will happen is basically variables. There is some variability there. So all these things basically can change. So in other words, what I was trying to say is Janma Chakra doesn't capture all these things. All these things are after the Janma Chakra. So when you make a Prashna Chakra at this point of time, this person is looking for a job. He doesn't have a job for the last 2 years. Will he find a job? When you make that Prashna, the Prashna will give you additional insights. Janma Chakra will show what kind of karmas he is carrying in the long run, and Prashna will give further insight on how things have happened over the last 20 or 30 years of the person's life. And you can combine the two to get a more comprehensive understanding of what is the current karmic trajectory for the person.
Okay, now tell us. You touched a little bit upon free will and destiny. So can you further explain? Because if everything is, these karmic balls are all coming down the tube, and you did mention that there are things that you can do to, push one ball ahead of the other, and the degree at which by which it impacts you. So talk to us about, yes, there is some bit of destiny from past karmas that we are facing, but there is also this free will component. So talk to us about how astrology, Jyotisha can actually help us, look at the free will component.
That is a great question, because a lot of people get confused between free will and destiny. They think if astrology, if everything is predestined, then what's the point of free will? The thing is, not everything is predestined. Astrology doesn't tell you what happens to you. It tells you what kind of circumstances you will face for doing your karmas at this point of time. It basically, your, and destiny and free will are not really different things. Actions of free will in the past become your destiny now, and the actions of your free will right now becomes your destiny to, they add to your destiny tomorrow. So destiny is nothing but the sum total of the actions of the free will up to this point of time, from minus infinity. So that's basically what destiny is. So they're not really different, and you do have a free will to do your karmas right now. But the problem is the destiny decides the circumstances in which you have to perform your new karmas, and some circumstances are so heavy, so problematic, that your free will has very little scope. In other words, the degrees of freedom your free will has, the number of options your free will has available to it for doing the current action, are restrained or constrained by your destiny, which is basically actions of your free will in the past. So that is basically the problem. But the issue is, many times people do have a lot of options, But because they only see what is right in front of them, they don't look all around them, they think that they don't have a lot of options. But when people take a step back and see what options they have, often they do have a lot of options. Unlike my analogy of throwing balls into the tube, if you every action that you do, whether it's a puja you're doing or helping somebody needy or just speaking to you right now, whatever we are doing, every action becomes a new ball that is thrown into this pipeline. And some of them are so small, so tiny that they don't alter whatever is ahead of them, but some of them can be significant enough to basically push their way through and alter the other balls and maybe break up other balls into multiple balls. So you do have a way to all, you can't alter your karmas, but you can alter the way they fructify, the sequence in which they fructify, and the degree to which they fructify. That you can alter.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here and also hit the bell icon to make sure you get notified. To donate, please click this button.